So, how can we use this principle of exaggeration and create more heroic faces like that? Well, just do a couple of heads the same way that I showed you with the bodies. Just decide that, okay, let's have a face and let's enhance different features. Okay, let's do the big jaw, but this time let's not have it as big. So I'm just going to put a middle line here and just going to design just a shape that is like that, a rough shape. Let's say this is where the nose ends, let's say this is where the head ends, but this one is going to be smoother. And let's decide that the nose is going to be here. Let's do another shape, and let's also decide where the mouth is going to be. Let's decide a mouth here, and the eyes here, and a haircut. Maybe let's have a lower haircut here. It's going to give us a different character. And even before you start working with characterizing this shape, or just do another shape. What else can we do? Well, let's have a smoother jaw. Let's have something that is more round. Okay, how would that look like? Let's design a bigger jaw. Let's do the middle line again, very roughly. And let's say, well, let's have the forehead here, approximately like that. How would that look like? Well, let's connect this one and this one with a more round jaw. And now we have a face over here. What else can we do? Let's say, let's this character have a longer nose. Now, why I'm telling you that I haven't set these features in stone? Because I want to give you the possibility to explore. And let's have the eyebrows where the nose ends. Let's have the ears here. Let's have another thin, big mouth here. And round eyes again. Let's have another feature here of a guy that has maybe not as big jaw, but a shorter one, but a one that is coming forward more, that is sticking out. So we can see a lower part of his jaw. So something like a cube basically. So let's say we have a cube and this is his jaw, this is his chin, and what else? And we have the neck here. What else can we do? Well, let's leave approximately a very little part for the facial features, and let's have them also as a cube. This is also another way to approach the design. Let's design also the forehead. Well, let's also do it as a cube. So let's have the forehead here. We still have 3 splits of the facial, where the nose starts, where the nose ends, and then when the hair starts. 3 different features, but we approach them in different way, and we squeeze or extend some features just to break it up a little bit and to help us do a more interesting characters. So what else can we do here? Well, let's just keep the eyebrows low because this is a masculinity feature, and let's give him a shorter nose, so even shorter than before, just to enhance the mouth more. And let's give him a mouth, maybe a little longer nose here, and just let's have the mouth being over here. Give him a smile, and maybe have this kind of eyes. It doesn't have to be round. And find the pupils here, and some small ears. Let's give him, now that we started with this square face, let's give him even a chin here. And what kind of a haircut can we give him? Maybe even a square haircut with some hair chunk falling over his face. There are so many ways of approaching it. Okay, and now that we have these three faces, let's define them. What do we get here? Okay, this is the eyebrows are here on this guy. Let's have him also looking this way. Give him more attitude to see what you get, what kind of character you get. And a square kind of nose. Again, when you put in a design feature, if you follow these features all the way, your character will be believable, even though you do it with squares, or if you do it with round shapes, or whatever you decide, your character will be believable, and your audience will accept it as a real character. Let's give him a nice smile this time, and I'm just going to stylize the mouth. You can play even with that features. So, and here you can have the chin also as a square, and define the chin here and this kind of area under the chin, and the neck. Maybe he has shoulders like that, really broad shoulders. Again, as we talked about, you give every feature is in comparison with some other feature. So if you want to have big shoulders, just make a small head and a smaller waist. And this is something we can just take up on here, and let's give him a big Adam's apple here also as a feature. And this is also became a very interesting character that I haven't even thought about. But you see what you get when you play with these features. Let's see this guy. We will also make him a narrow eyebrows here, and we're going to make him a round eyes. And let's let him look at this guy, and he's going to be a completely different character. He doesn't have as strong male features. You see, he doesn't have as big jaw. So he's not that kind of type of guy. So this is going to align with the character description that you want to give your guy. If you enhance other kind of features, he's more like a nice kind of guy, the regular Joe kind of guy. A neighbor or something that is feeding the birds or helping the neighbor. Also a heroic character that I talked about, but with less drastic feature of a heroic, of this kind of a macho, kind of masculine character. And then he has just a smile, so maybe he doesn't even have some lips. He has a kind of a regular jaw. Haircut here, you can even mark it just with a shading and just draw some strokes on the way the hair is going, or he can have even some chunks of hair falling down, and just to make him have some more irregular look. He's not using any conditioner or any gel for his hair, so his hair is naturally falling down. He's not a guy who is taking care of his looks a lot, like you would assume this guy does. And this guy will have maybe a smaller neck because he's not as trained, but he also has again proportions, the real proportions, but this time instead of enhancing the jaw proportions, we have enhanced the nose area, and we brought down the lips a little lower. We still have a forehead that is higher up. We'll still have the eyebrows that are lower down next to the eyes, and now a round eyes. And this guy is very similar to this other guy that we drew. And let's bring him, have some strong eyebrows again, but this time he has more gentle features. It's not as drastic enhanced jaw like the other guy. So this is something in the middle. You can also come to this conclusion that, okay, I like something that is very close to the photorealistic features of a character. I want to be as close to that as possible, but I still want to do a cartooning of this character. Well, this is something in the middle way. You just smooth the features up. You don't go all the way with all the exaggeration. This is again an exploration process when you do your film or your book or your character design. And this is the fun of it, because everything you do, every character you do is you're going to get a different character. And this character may have a place in your storytelling even though you haven't planned it. And you can even have, maybe you don't need to have these round eyes. You say, well, I want to have a more of photorealistic eyes. Well, just go halfway with that and just design some eyes that are more photorealistic, and you get a completely different look. So now let's enhance the features with the black pencil and find how these describe our character and how the exploration process has worked for us. Now this guy has, as you see, a more photorealistic eyes. They are not as bulgy, they are not as round, and they are closer to human eyes. But still, it has a very much exaggerated features still. So even that is enough to have a character look cartoony. And it has a slightly proportionate nose for his features, but it still has a thin lips that stretch all the way up to his face. And you can even design smaller lips here or smile. And you can note that the lips are sticking out by adding some slight shadow beneath the lower lip. It will just enhance a lip, basically. Very, very small tricks will give you a nice character. And we'll have his haircut being kind of like a more normal one. So this is kind of a hero that is maybe not so obvious. It has other kind of features. It's not a guy that goes around like this guy. You see this, it has a completely different character. And so here I'm going to enhance his haircut by giving him a little glancy hair and a more smoother jaw. Now I'm not going to see the cheekbones because that's how I decide to explore this design. How would it look? It's a more kind of a father figure. This guy is a family guy who is maybe becoming a hero, maybe to save a child, or he gets caught in the middle of a fire when he has to jump in and become a hero. Well, you would design him this way because you want the audience to like him, even though he's kind of a regular Joe kind of guy, like a father. So he's not going to have that broad of shoulders like this guy, but pretty much he's going to be well built. And maybe has a suit or something. Again, you see that as soon as I'm starting to enhance a character in the concept I'm drawing, the character just becomes alive and it suggests to me what kind of clothing does it have, like with this backstory about the father and the guy. Well, maybe he's just a regular guy who wears suits outside when he goes to walk his kids, walk his dog coming from work, and still he is another kind of character. When this guy is more like a regular Joe kind of a guy, but completely different character. So again, he has these features. We are just enhancing them. And he has just thin lips. And maybe I'm just going to mark his jaw maybe a little bit at the side. It doesn't have to be symmetrical. And I even can push his chin also. If I'm just drawing in an illustration, I can push his chin on the side. It doesn't have to be completely symmetrical. You don't have to play with the rule of the symmetry. All you have to do is play the rule of your own style. If you design a style and this guy is always drawn with a little bit of his face being in one side, then you should just be true to that symbolic language, to that principle, to create a believable and nice style. That is what you have to be true to. So the thing is that sometimes if you don't know a lot of rules, if you don't try to make a photorealistic character, you will be free to design all kinds of different styles. And when you know that, yes, it is okay, and many people who actually can draw photorealistic characters, they're trying to escape from that manner, and they try to break down their style, and they try to make something more cartoony and more free. So this is another challenge of being too academic and too precise in your measurements and your knowledge. So you have really the freedom to not expect anything, to just be free to explore. And if you also want to go into an academic style and to be more precise, well, you will be able to do that as well the more you practice. Because for my students that are already going to this course, and you kind of surprising yourself, I have a lot of students saying to me that, well, I really thought that I couldn't draw, and suddenly I drew these characters and now I can't believe it. This is the best feedback for me, because that is what I want you to have, I want you to achieve. So I'm really, really glad that this is happening to you. And for those new people coming in, I'm welcoming you also to this course, and expect to be surprised of how much you actually can do without you knowing it. There is an artist in each one of you. You just have to set it free, and you just have to be unafraid to explore different shapes and different methods. So I'm just going to add the shading on the lower jaw of this guy, because I decided him to have this kind of a square jaw, working more with the shapes of his jaw. And so we have 3 different characters with the faces of 3 different characters, and you see how easy it was and how many different characters we've got. So I encourage you to just take a notebook and just start doing a lot of faces in addition to your other characters. Work with shapes, work with exaggeration, and just don't be afraid to fail. So to say, you will never fail, as you see that in each shape I'm starting with just wondering, what can I explore here, what can I exaggerate, and when I do that I just take it to the next level and say, let's do that again, but this time let me have the jaw bigger or the nose bigger, or let me try to find a different expression. So each time I put a question before myself, I try to explore it with shapes and just be free and elaborate with different techniques and different shapes, knowing the male features and how I want to exaggerate them. So this was for this lecture, and thank you for asking me to complete that course with this simple lecture, with these simple videos. And I hope you're continuing enjoying the course and keep on